Yeah, it says here, it looks like we changed at Baker Street. Don't know why.
We're on our way.
All change.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
No, I would hold on to the rail if I was you, Rob. It's maybe a rocky ride.
All change.
Mind the gap between the train.
Oh no, that's definitely going in the wrong direction. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio, video related products. Well, today we're not actually reviewing a camera per se or a microphone or any piece of kit. I'm looking at two cameras that I took with me to London. We had to go to London. My brother had a hospital appointment in London, so I decided to take two cameras with me. So the two cameras that I took with me was the Canon R7 and the Canon R10. Now here we are is the R7. Now this is the more expensive out of the two, slightly heavier. It's got two SD card slots in the side, which is great if you're a professional user. I actually did find that very useful for one particular reason. I took my tablet with me and I was able to take one card out because I had one shoot in JPEGs and one shoot in RAW. And I was able to just take the JPEG images out and very quickly load them onto my tablet. And if I wanted to upload them to the internet, social media, I could do that nice and easily. So that was great with the R7. So I took the R7. I didn't do a lot of video on either of the cameras, but the main one was the R7. I used that all morning. Then in the afternoon, I took the Canon, I used the Canon R10. Which is this one here, and this is its baby brother really. The two major differences with the R7 and the R10 is that the R7 has got in-body image stabilization, the R10 hasn't, and the R7 has got two SD cards, where the R10 has just got the one that's in the battery compartment. So those were the two major differences between the R7 and the R10, but I wanted to take these two. I wanted to see how capable the R10 was, considering it didn't have in-body image stabilization, compared to the R7. With the R10, I just used its kit lens that I got with it, which is the 18-45, the RF 18-45 kit lens. It's the APS-C kit lens, because these two cameras are APS-C models, they're not full frame models. So on the R7, I had fitted to it me 16mm full frame lens, RF full frame lens on there, and that gave me about 25mm, and that was great. Because it wasn't ultra wide, but it was wide enough for what I needed. And I'll show you some of the images on my computer that I took. Those were two cameras that I took. Now, when we arrived at London, I fitted my DJI Action 2 on top of the camera, which is this little one here. It actually comes apart, and that's the piece that I used, which was this one. I fitted that on top of the camera using the Ulanzi bracket. I have reviewed these brackets and tripods, they're really good. So as I said, that fitted to that. That was great, and that's got a cold shoe. And that was fitted to my R7 in the morning, when I fitted it to my R10 in the afternoon, and off we went. And I also had my little Insta360 Go tube. That was hanging around my neck basically, so I used that as a POV camera as well. That was just to get additional POV footage. I actually think, well, it is, the Action 2, the DJI Action 2 footage was a lot sharper and better, but they both do the job, certainly for POV footage. And you know, I was very happy with how they worked. I charged them up at lunchtime. I took a little battery charger, USB charger with me, because I did find the battery does die on both cameras pretty quickly. So it was useful that I did take a USB charger with me. But we arrived at Paddington, and then we went down the escalators to the underground, and our plan was to have lunch at King's Cross, but that's kind of went by the way, because we got lost basically. We got lost at St Pancras / King's Cross. I'm not quite sure how we managed that, but we certainly did. I think that was my error actually. When we came off the tube, we couldn't find the exit, and we ended up coming out at St Pancras, which is on the other side of the road to King's Cross. But you know, hey ho, that's the fun of travelling in locations that you don't know. So I took quite a few photographs with the R7 and the R10, and rather than go through them in detail on my computer here, I will leave a link to the photographs on my Flickr page, so take a look at them there. It's much easier looking at them on Flickr than it is on my YouTube channel, particularly because of the YouTube compression, and you can look at them, at your own leisure, rather than having to keep pausing the video and rewinding the video, and what have you. Now, what I wanted to do was take some photographs with both cameras at slow shutter speeds. I wanted to see how blurry I could get the trains and how sharp the images could be of subjects that weren't moving, particularly the platform, people stood on the platform. And I think I did an okay job. It needs a lot more experimenting, and you need more time to experiment with this type of photography. But I do like the effect that it creates. And if you have a look at a few of them here, you'll see, where are they? Yeah, let's have a look at a few of them here. You can see the sort of effect that you can create, which is great. So you've got, the people quite sharp and the train moving. And I think that was at 1/10 of a second. I was shooting mainly at around 1/10 and 1/8 of a second. That's 1/4 of a second actually. And that's with the R10, that's not with the R7. So it goes to show the R10, you can get really crisp, slow shutter speed shots with its kit lens, because the kit lens has got image stabilization in the lens, so you can do it. And I managed to get it with the R7 as well, because with the 16mm lens, the 16mm lens hasn't got image stabilization in the lens. So you do need to use a camera really that has got image stabilization. I mean, I've been using it on my R6 with great results. I'm actually filming the close-up shot here with my R6, and that's got the 50mm lens fitted to the camera, and it's beautiful. I love the color science of the Canon cameras. It's really, really nice, and I really enjoy using the R6. It's a great, great camera. I'm at the moment predominantly using it for video as opposed to for photographs, and yet I've been told and I've read online that the R6 does overheat in video. I've not managed to get it to overheat. I found it's been working fine, but we are in a colder climate here in the UK, so maybe that's what it is, I don't know. But it's working beautiful. I've got my Panasonic GH5 getting the wide shot over there, which is great. I've been using that a long time and I just love that camera. And I've got my other Panasonic G100 getting a generic wide shot up there. That would normally be my Canon R10 up there. But as I've got my R10 here, I can't fit the R10 up there as well. So I've got my Panasonic G100 up there. That's filming in HD, by the way, because of the 4K time limit. It's only 10 minutes in 4K. Within HD, it's half an hour, and HD is fine for what I'm doing here. And then my close-up shots here is on my trusty ZV-1, Sony ZV-1. I love that camera. It just works. It's just so trustworthy. There we go. Yeah, back to the photograph. So you can see here, I just love this technique where you can actually, slow the shutter speed down to get moving subjects, blurred, and stationary subjects sharp. And I just love that. I mean, it works great. And I've done some panoramic shots. Well, they were actually they're edited to be panoramic. So, and you'll see these on my Flickr page. So I'm not going into any detail here, but yeah, these are the sort of images I was playing with, and that's what that's what I was doing when I went to London. Really, we weren't going to London on a jolly. We weren't having a day out. My brother had a hospital appointment, so that's why we went. And I just thought I'd go along, support my brother, but as well as that, take some photographs, and create these sort of effects that I like. Again, I think that's really nice. Bit of movement in the image. It's not pin sharp, but I quite like the effect. But I do need to experiment with it a bit more to get it, and to get it spot on. So from King's Cross, we headed to Russell Square. We went to Russell Square because that was the nearest tube station to the hospital that my brother had his appointment. So we went to Russell Square, had a lovely lunch in the pub where I charged up the batteries for me little Go-2 that I mentioned earlier, and my DJI Action 2. The DJI Action 2 it's a great little camera. It's 4K, it does HD as well, but I shot it all in 4K. And the great thing with the DJI, I can output that footage straight to Final Cut Pro without having to go through another process. With the Insta360 Go 2, this little baby here, you have to put it into the Insta360 software, then output that as a movie file before you can actually work with it in Final Cut Pro. You know, it's still fine, but it just slows your workflow down just a wee bit. Now, whilst my brother was having his hospital appointment, I was actually playing with a new lens that I bought. I got it so cheap. I mean, it is cheap. I got it around about 150 quid. And it is the EF mount. It's not an RF mount, it's the EF mount 40mm. And it's, I would class it as a pancake lens really, if you was using it on a DSLR body. Because I was using it on the RF bodies, I was using the Canon EF to RF adapter. And there's no glass in this adapter. It basically transmits the electronic information from the lens to the camera body, autofocus and all the rest of it. But it still makes for a nice compact lens. It's not bulky, and I really enjoy using this lens. Now, there will be a separate review on this lens. So I won't be reviewing it in this video. Now, this lens, I will just say though, this lens is a full frame lens designed for full frame body, so it'd be 40mm on a full frame body. I used it on my R10, and that would have been about a 1.6 times crop factor. So you're looking at about 60mm-ish on the R10. It was beautiful. Got some really nice images from that. And I played around with that while my brother was having this hospital appointment around Russell Square. Well, Queen Square is where I was, and you know, I had a lot of fun with that. We left Russell Square on our way home, and this is where I used the R10. And what I liked about the R10 is its compactness and lightness. There's no weight to this whatsoever. Well, there is weight to it, but it's not heavy. It's lovely. And I just used that with its kit lens, and I was really pleased with the images I got. I was really concerned, thinking they were going to be really noisy. I wouldn't be able to get slow shutter speeds, but I could. Because of the in-lens image stabilization, I was able to get slow shutter speeds and still get nice images with the R10. And yeah, great little camera, great travel camera because of its, you know, compact size and weight. So we went from Russell Square to King's Cross. I took some more photographs at King's Cross. Basically on the underground, we didn't go above ground, and it's, you know, great camera to work with. And because it is so compact, it's very discreet. Even though I did have my DJI Action 2 fitted to the top of it, it was still incredibly discreet. And I was really pleased about that. Nobody really noticed, unless they're used to people taking photographs on the underground, I don't know. So there we go. That was our trip to London with the Canon R7 and the R10. There isn't a conclusion really as to which camera I preferred using. I enjoy both of them, I really do. I think for travel wise, the R10 is great because it is, as I said earlier, really compact and really lightweight. And if you're using lenses that have got image stabilization in the lens, where you don't have to worry about the, you know, slow shutter speeds using the R10, it's great. It's reliable. Battery lasted me all the time I was using it. I didn't change battery at all. And you know, all the functions work great. The autofocus is great. There wasn't really anything with either of the cameras that irritated me, and I used them all day, and you know, nothing irritated me. What I liked about the R7 was the fact that it's got dual SD card slots. Battery life again was great. The autofocus was phenomenal, same as on the R10, but I could set it up slightly differently on the R7, and that really did please me as well. On the both cameras, I've got the control ring set up to change the autofocus area. So whether it be spot, whether it be tracking or whatever, and that's brilliant. You just turn the ring and then you can very quickly change how you want the autofocus to work. I really did like that on both. That works both on the R7 and the R10 because you change it in the menu of the camera. And if you've got an RF mounted lens, then you can use that to change the autofocus settings. I mean, you can use the control ring to change whatever you like. It can be ISO, it can be white balance, it can be exposure compensation, but I've got it set for changing me autofocus areas. The other thing that I've got set up on the R7, which I mentioned in my review of the R7, I'll leave a link to that up here. Is it up here? I think it's up here, isn't it? I can never remember, of me R7. But I've got set up the animal eye detect and human eye detect on 2 buttons on the back here. So where people use them for back button focusing, that's kind of what I've done. So I've got that one pre-set up for human eye detect. So I push that in and then that detects human's eye and then you take a photograph. And that one I've got pre-set up for animal eye detect. And that works great because if you want to quickly take a photograph of a dog, cat, whatever, I just hold that button in and it works straight away, and it works brilliantly. And if you want to take a photograph of a human, I was regularly taking photographs of my brother and his girlfriend, I just hold that button in, you know, and that worked brilliantly. So that was a feature of the R7 I really liked. So I couldn't do that on the R10. I haven't found a way of doing that yet on the R10. I'm sure I probably can because there are the 2 buttons there, so I probably can do that. But that's brilliant on the R7. Slightly heavier camera. It's got a bigger battery, but it wasn't heavy enough to be a concern in using it sort of, well, I used it all afternoon and evening, so I had no problems with that whatsoever. Really, really enjoyed using both cameras. And, you know, I think the resolution on the R7, because it is a 32 megapixel sensor as opposed to 24 megapixel, certainly helps with cropping, particularly when I'm doing the sort of images where I'm, you know, cropping these images and creating sort of a panoramic. The R7 is just that, you know, it's quite a bit sharper actually, so it helps me do that quite a bit easier. But saying that, I've still cropped, you know, several of the R10 images and had no issues, you know, so yeah, I think it's, you know, both cameras are great. I love using both of them, and the 40mm EF 40mm lens is so sharp. It's such a nice lens. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. A bit different to my normal sort of videos that I do, but I hope you enjoy it. Please stay tuned for more videos relating to video photography, podcasting, so on and so forth. Cheers for now. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and like as well. So thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.
This is a district line train to Edgware Road. The next station is Edgware Road.
Yeah,
It's been a long day.
it's been a long day, hasn't it? Yeah.